Hi. So one of the issues that people have when they're giving presentations through Zoom or Teams or any other platform is that as soon as you share your screen to show, say, a PowerPoint presentation, the video box that you were in, which formerly was very large, suddenly becomes really very small. It becomes difficult for a member of the audience watching on the screen to be able to see your body language, any gestures, any facial expressions that you're using, especially when the PowerPoint section is so large. So what we need to do is see if there's a workaround that we can use that would change that balance and maybe would allow a better connection between each member of the audience and yourself. So that's what we're going to look at now. The first thing we need to make sure we've got is a nice clean background, a desktop, because we're going to be using that. So as you can see all my different desktop icons. So if I right click, view and uncheck the show desktop icons, lo and behold, it becomes a much cleaner desktop background. I've done a couple of other things as well. Firstly is I've unlocked the taskbar. So only will it appear when I move the cursor down. If I haven't done that, then it gives me more space. And then all you need to do in order to be able to make that happen is right click on that, go to taskbar settings, and we're going to change the top two settings within that. So lock the taskbar we want to turn to off, and automatically hide the taskbar we want to switch to on. So if you do that, that will replicate what we have here. Any second now, that taskbar will just move back down. Actually, whilst it's still there, the other thing we need to do is come to the notification symbol, which is down the bottom here. Click on that. And what we need to do is concentrate on this one. So its normal setting for focus assistant is on. We're going to click it once for priority only and click it again to move it to alarms only. So that means that no notifications will come in as you are giving your presentation. So that's the first thing that we've got done. We've got a clean background, which is the perfect canvas for what we want to be doing. The next thing we'll look at is, if I can click and drag this, it's being a little bit reluctant. Oh no, I need to do it anyway, is we're not going to use the webcam that is part of Zoom or Teams. We're instead going to click on and bring up, we're just going to use the camera app here. So your laptop will have a camera app. Click on that, which is what I've done, which is why you can see me already. So I won't do that again. And what we have here then is that camera app, which I can move around. So I'm just going to sort of place here for the moment. It's called a camera app and it will take a photo, but what you'll notice is this blue square, which is starting to make sure that the center of my face is focused for a photo. And obviously that's distracting for an audience, so we're just going to click onto the video. That blue square disappears and we've basically got all that we need. The next thing we're going to need is a PowerPoint presentation. So here is one that I've already opened. It's a very trivial example. There's only 3 slides. There's hardly any content on them, but just to show you the process that you would need. So the first thing we do is go to slideshow and set up slideshow. Now by default, your presentation will have the first show type box or circle button checked. What we want to do is click on the one below that, browsed by an individual. And what that is going to do is allow a full PowerPoint presentation, but within a window so that it's not full screen. You can still do all the things that you want to be able to do in PowerPoint. So again, it's an effective way, and you'll see very soon how we can then bring that back to our clean desktop. So I'm going to apply that just by pressing OK. And so it works because I'm getting these 2 elements, the camera and the presentation, set up before I go to Zoom or Teams is I want it to be ready to start straight away. So by putting it in slideshow mode, I've got the first slide there. All I'm going to do now is click on this resize button, and it's done that for me. And I think what you can see is, if I just put that, make sure that's on the page, on the side, is I've got the two things side by side. So now I'm just going to organize this. If I click on camera, there's quite a bit of space being taken on the left-hand side by the settings icon and just by the space. And there's an element of the video screen that you don't need to see. So I've moved that over to the left to lose those. I also want to lose these icons on the right. And very neatly, I can do that just by clicking on the PowerPoint show. That brings that to the fore. And again, I've got the option to move that across to give myself a little bit more space. Okay, so that's how I want my desktop to look. You'll be able to watch the video, you'll be able to see me and establish more of a connection, but you'll also be able to see the PowerPoint presentation in a decent size, and the two together should be an improvement. So we've set that up. So the final thing that we need to do, clearly, is now to share it. So you can do this with Teams. I'm probably just going to do this now with Zoom because I've got it open. So if I click on that, start a new meeting, take a couple of seconds just to connect through. It's on its way. There we go. The sound is not on, the video is not on, purely because we're going to be using the camera that we've set, the recorder that we've set up before. So now I'm going to share screen. And what I want to do is make sure that I'm picking the whole screen, because that's what we've just cleared and put the video and the show on. So if I click on that and share, and now just minimize that, then we have what we need. You are now looking, or the attendees are now looking at a combination of my video as well as the PowerPoint show. What I do have is this floating taskbar is still visible because we're looking at the whole screen. So I'm going to hide that, and then when I need it later on to finish the meeting, I will press escape and that will come back up. So now I get the presentation. If I click on the PowerPoint show, just by clicking through, I can move along nicely. If you were to print out the outline option from your presentation that has all the slide numbers and the slide titles, this still allows you to move around the presentation by using the slide number. So if I press 1 enter, then that takes me to the first slide. And obviously that gives me a lot of flexibility if I want to move around, if I have by my side the outline printer. Or you can just tab through, you can use the clicker, or you can use the mouse, or you can use the arrow keys on the keyboard, whichever you prefer. So that's how that works. Now, counterintuitively perhaps, I'm going to suggest one more thing, is it's very difficult to, when you're giving a presentation under these conditions, it's difficult not to look at the video of yourself. So I'm doing that now. So I'm seeing what I'm doing with my hands, and I'm very distracted by watching myself. So what I'm going to suggest you do, having made all this effort to set this up, is experiment with the following. So I have a red piece of A4 paper. Being very careful not to cover up any element of the camera, I am going to place that over the part of the screen which has the camera on it. Sorry, just fell down. So I can now still see the PowerPoint. I can move through that. You can still see a very clean image of me, but I'm no longer distracted by looking at myself and getting that immediate feedback loop, which obviously you would never get in an in-person presentation, and it is a distraction. So see how you manage. Always think you can cover up the left-hand side of your laptop just to give you a bit more focus on looking at the camera and looking at the slides and being able to convey the correct messaging. All I'm going to do then is press escape. That will introduce my floating taskbar. I'm going to end, come out of the Zoom presentation, minimize this straight away, and we're back to me talking to you using the video to demonstrate what's possible. So I will again remove all these because these are probably appearing to you. Is experiment with that. It will take a little bit of getting used to. You definitely want to have some run-throughs with colleagues before you present live in this way, but it may just be an effective way to make the presentation just feel a little bit more realistic, in particular to the people in the audience. So have a play around, and I hope you find that useful.